Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's November 20th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and we're going into the Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S., and this is not really that surprising. It's really a pretty strong trend, but really from 8:30 to 2, there's just no volume or anything really happening here. We had a pretty steep trend here, and then we just kind of folded over to a flatter trend, and then we got a break new high, and so really from 8 o'clock to 2, we were in a range that's maybe, I'd say 250, we'll just call it 258, or I'm sorry, 2578 to 2583, maybe 84. So it's 5 or 6 points, but for the most part, we're hung up in about 2 points here, and then about a point and a half here, and then a point here. So you had to catch these little these little jumps up, or you didn't really get much chance. And they were fairly straightforward, so you could catch them. But that was really all you had today was this little jump up, and then another one here. You really didn't. You might have got in down here, and I'll talk about that. But this won't take long. Tomorrow may be exactly the same. We may not have much movement tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and take Wednesday off. So we'll do a chart lesson today, chart lesson tomorrow. I will also post a mid-morning chart tomorrow, and that'll be it. And so mid-morning chart tomorrow and a chart lesson tomorrow, and then I'm taking off the rest of the week. I'm not going to sit in here, and this just wasn't worth even hanging around for, at least not for me. If you need the screen time, hang around and sim trade these and so forth, because you'll need to see this, and it's a good learning opportunity, but there's not a lot of trading opportunity here. So anyway, let's talk about the trades. First one really was right here. I could have marked this green. I didn't. I just drew an arrow to it. But you could argue for this to be green. You got a little two-bar matching low double there. But notice we just came off the high. Of course, you don't have a lot of evidence to prove that's the high. The high could be up here, and that still fits. So, at that point, though, I was looking at it off that close, and we're turning down right there. So if that is correct, then we ought to be coming back to the other side. Now, if this is correct up here at the very high, then we haven't got to the high yet. So there's some interpretation there. But notice you got a shorter term trend line. You may not be able to see that coming up through there. And that's your first break. And so, and this is really just a first entry, although this is a lot of sideways. But the one thing I do like is that's a little small bar, only about 3 ticks. So it's low risk. So if you want to enter there, you could argue for that to be green. Again, I didn't mark it. I just drew an arrow to it because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget to talk about it. But you don't know it's going to take off, but it might have been worth risking. And then if it didn't go higher, you could get out. Or if it didn't, you didn't scalp out. If it starts going sideways or looks like it's going to back up, you can always exit. So the other thing too about this one was you probably wouldn't have had time to get in. You wouldn't. It jumped right across, and so you would have had to probably put a limit order in there and hope it backed up and filled you. I don't know if it would have or not. So it would have been. It's possible you would have got filled, but maybe not. And so it turns out to be a great move, but you just don't know that ahead of time. So, and then of course you get a couple legs back, and you're not quite back to the EMA, not quite back to the trend line here, and you got to go long right into the high after we just kind of broke higher. So I just don't think you can enter there. Just wait and see if it pulls back and touches the trend line again and goes higher. But really what left me out of that one was because I was looking at this being the upper trend channel and this being an overshoot, which it still fits there very nicely, and you can kind of see the upper side holding. So it looks like an overshoot to me. And then we actually get a break here. So I believe that this is really the correct one, and we get an overshoot. And then you get of course, generally when you get an overshoot, you expect that you'll probably get a break about that much or either come up that much short on this line. And we actually overshoot by that much. And so, and this is a second entry. The only problem is that's too bearish, and then the next bar, you're too late to enter here, and then it gaps over again. So you really don't get a chance to enter here. As much as I like that, a chance to maybe enter there, it's just not a good enough signal bar. So then it comes back and you get a second entry here, but again the signal bar is just it's it's not a very good signal bar. Too bearish, it's too close to those highs. Now you know you got real resistance there. So you better wait on the right opportunity. You do get a push higher and you get two legs back and it bounces right off that flatter trend channel line or trend line. You get a failed second entry short here because that's a new low. It's lower than that one. So first entry, second entry, it actually goes lower and turns and goes up. I like going long right there. And you wouldn't really want to be looking for shorts here yet. Yeah, that's a failed break higher. I'd definitely wait on a lower high and maybe a reversal pattern here. You do get a lower high, but that's too neutral of a bar. And you see what happens when you try to chase one. If you try to get in right there, you'd have got burned. And so I like going long right there. That turns out to get you in. You still don't really catch a big runner. And then you get two legs back and you get another break here and you get a second entry long really right here with another low risk bar. And there's also some support right there, so a little failed break lower. So I like entering here. Hopefully you might get another leg up like this first leg after the break. Right here, break of the first channel. There's your first leg, and so you may get a second leg up from right here. We don't get anything like that, but it's not too far from there, maybe a point difference or something. We just went sideways once we kind of broke higher here. But you also get a break of this channel and you get a couple legs up and then it kind of sells off. But I wanted to point out this one. Notice there's that failed break lower, and then there's the first entry, and then the second leg and the second entry. So that's kind of tempting to go long there. But after a break of this channel, the first one, the early one, the steeper one, then the more 45-degree one, and then a new high, you got to be careful going long, especially right into the high, because there's a good chance you get a reversal here. And we did. And if you'd got in that, even if you had have taken that one, you'd have had plenty of opportunity to get out of this. And once it starts going sideways like that, I would have just exited with a tick or so, whatever it'd give you. You could have probably got a couple of ticks out of that. But I wouldn't hang on and ride that out, all afternoon. And really that lasted from 12 to 2 o'clock. And that's all you had for 2 hours this afternoon. So obviously there wasn't much trading going on. That's pretty weak. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow's not the same. But I will come in tomorrow and trade tomorrow. But that's going to be it for the week. And that's all there was today. I saw two trades there I really like that I think you were worth risking an entry on. And this one is really close to the highs. But somebody asked me about that. I want to come back and talk about this. Somebody asked me about that. There was a chart sometime, I think it was last week, where we had a trade similar to this, and they asked me why I didn't trade the breakout. Well, generally your breakout is going to succeed in the direction in which you traded into the range. And we traded up into this. And notice too, we're making higher highs and higher lows here. You really didn't make higher highs, but you make a higher low with a two-legged swing. And then you make another higher low, then you make a double bottom with a nice bullish bar, second entry. So you're just trying to work higher here, and that's basically just taking a higher low. And so if we'd have traded down into this, you'd expect prices to fail and trade out the other side. So generally on a day like this, there is a gap on the morning chart. We came close to filling that gap. Let me just put my line on there. That's where we actually closed last week. So we didn't quite fill that gap. I really thought prices would try to fill that gap. Notice we opened right up here and we closed here the day before. So there's a gap between where the black line runs across the screen there, and where it opens up today right there. And generally prices are going to try to fill. That's not a huge gap, but it's still a gap there. And so there's still a gap on the daily chart there. And we may fill it with the next day's price action. But generally you try to fill those gaps. And it did try to fill it, but when it started working higher here, you know, you got to notice that prices are pretty much above the EMA all day long. We came back and tested it a few times and got a little bit below it, but for the most part, this is all uptrend. So you don't want to be taking any shorts in here. It's just too risky because this is an uptrend. This is a bullish trend. So wasn't particularly strong in the afternoon, but it's still there, and you can't argue with it. So anyway, that's really all we got for today. So I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow, and we'll wrap up our week tomorrow. At least I will. And but I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.